Voices drift on winds untamed, words like spells that can't be named. Close your eyes and feel the sound. Journey where no bounds are found. Open doors inside your mind. Leave the ordinary far behind. Colors swirl and stars align. In the meta mysteries you'll find.
Welcome to Meta Mysteries, where you don't know what you don't know. My name's Jonathan.
I'm Sean.
And we want to welcome to the show for the very first time, Brad and Jenny. You guys, I've been following you on TikTok here for a little while. I love the journey, and I love like all of the, kind of like epiphany kind of things. And you guys are working together as a team. It's almost like, just out of curiosity, it's almost like you guys are coming up on your own like spiritual awakening together, which, I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's kind of how it seems.
It absolutely is. It's been the most beautiful, the most frightening and beautiful thing that either one of us has ever experienced. And, it just happened upon us. We didn't go searching for anything. Just started happening. We live in a spiritual spot. I think we moved about a year ago to a new house, and we just felt this incredible deja vu when we moved in there. We just knew that we were home, and we just had this overwhelming feeling of peace, and it just kept growing and growing. And and of course, like so many other people, these last few years, with the events that have unfolded, we had already started to see where we had maybe been looking at things the wrong way for a very long time. And, things were being revealed to us. And then after we moved, it was just like information coming through a fire hose or something, and it hit me probably first.
Yeah.
and thank God that I had Jenny here, and because we see so many folks on TikTok, going through their awakening process, so to speak, alone. And I can't imagine. And that's why we've been so diligent about letting everyone know, please tell your spouse, tell your significant other, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell whoever you love what you're going through, because what we've discovered is when we talk about it with other people, there's many other people going through the same exact thing, and they're just afraid to talk about it.
Yeah, that's, and that's really pretty common, I think, too. Like maybe one person will start to go through some sort of spiritual awakening, and maybe the other person, maybe the other person catches on, but, and then there's other times where the other person looks at you like you're crazy, and what are you talking about? And what are you going through, a midlife crisis? Or, you know what I mean? And like, you're not seeing synchronicities. Those are just coincidences kind of deal. And it's like, man, that's a struggle, but, what would you say to that? Like, if let's just say, for example, I'm a single man, but let's just say, for example, I had a girlfriend and I started to go through a spiritual awakening kind of process, but maybe my wife or my girlfriend or whatever wasn't really about that kind of. Maybe she was religious. I mean, how would you tell them to suggest them to like work it out?
Here's, and again, we're learning, and we don't pretend to know much at all. We speak from our own experience, and that is all. But, I looked at Jen. Here's how I handled it. I said, I have seen the most real thing I've ever felt, that I've ever seen. I've felt the most real feelings that I've ever felt. I know this to be real. I've never been a church goer. I've never read a page of the Bible. All of a sudden, I knew Jesus. I'm led to study his teachings, not the ones in the Bible, but the ones omitted from the Bible. And then that leads me down another path. Yes, all the Gnostic teachings, and and then we start getting led down these paths that of enlightenment, and one day it was just everything became so clear that it was terrifying.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. You know what's amazing too is that anybody that's ever like delved into the Gnostic texts and you know, like just looking into those forbidden things or
Mhm.
falsified things or whatever, it seems to perfectly align with so many other ancient traditions and so many other ancient like mystery teachings. And what's great about them, you know, why we personally connect, because we've done episodes on Gnosticism and the Demiurge and the Adam and Eve story, the original, or you know, the one according to the Gnostic book. And it seems like it just resonates way more than the Bible itself, because
Yeah.
it's not so much telling you what you should do and what you shouldn't do. It almost feels like it's reminding you that this is how the story went. Like there's just some kind of resonance to it. And I don't know how else to really explain it, but it makes sense to me.
Sure. Yeah. And of course, I mean, from everything that we can tell, you know, I mean, of course, there's so much good and so much truth, and in all the different religions, you know, and they all kind of have the same stories, you know, and they can't all be right and they can't all be wrong. And you know, I think that there are pieces to the puzzle, so to speak, in all the different variations of religion.
Mhm.
Yeah, no doubt. You know what I kind of feel like? So I also, well, both Sean and I, we didn't go to church or anything like that whenever we were growing up. Like our parents never brought us there. And it was just something, it wasn't that our parents were against it. It's just that we weren't raised that way. And you know, for us, it was kind of like doing this show. It's kind of discovering all the different religions and mythologies and mysticism, and we even dive into witchcraft and magic and like everything, right? And it all seems to rhyme a bit, like
And it all
that's-
seems real.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know?
I was raised Southern Baptist, and my dad is now Pentecostal holiness preacher.
oh,
Oh,
Yeah, so hence the twang, Southern Baptist.
Yeah.
nice.
But yeah, but it never resonated with me. As I got older, I looked into Wicca and all the things, and eventually just it's like you've always known there's something there. You always know that there's a creator, there's something more, but it's just not that.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, it's funny that you bring that up. Me and my daughter, we love going to Goodwill. That's like our favorite thing is, you know, popping tags, as Sean says. But we went to Goodwill earlier and I found a Wicca book and I was like, oh, let me scoop that up real quick.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was like kind of like an introductory kind of to Wicca, and I thought it was, you know, just quite a find. And you know what's funny is that I found it in the religious book section, and I was like, all right, I mean that's a sign. So I picked
they're
it
all
up.
tapping into the same thing, dude. Just as Brad said, there's this universal truth through
Yes.
all of it, and all of them are trying to describe or articulate the same thing. Really, essentially, at least that's what I'm coming to understand.
Yeah, and I think what's so difficult about it, it's not really difficult. It's just that everybody wants to label and name things, and this thing that we're all referring to almost can't be named. I mean, it's like trying to describe a fifth dimensional object. It's like, how do you do that? You know,
Mhm.
like if
Right.
you ever looked at if you ever looked at a tesseract, like they have these like, you know, real life tesseract model kind of things where it just looked like a square inside of a square inside of a square forever, right? And it's like, try describing that. Like, what do you, how do you do that?
Yeah, these are the things that need to be experienced, you know, and I think that's what's so important when it comes to, you know, as we are going through a spiritual awakening and you have certain experiences that you can't explain, or you can't, maybe it's not even in a book, you know, maybe this thing is just kind of special to you and you're getting to experience it. I think that is the essence of whatever that truth is, you know, that you get to just feel, you know.
And that's what our soul is here for.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the beauty of when you're going through this stuff with someone is if you don't have an open line of communication, and then it's not gonna help you.
And
Like-
truth
Yeah,
Truth.
you had to be.
That's it. That's just it. I mean, it's truth, and you have to be truthful. And it was literally like everything, like somebody gutted me and ripped out all of the black because there was a lot of it in there, all the darkness, and they ripped it all out of me and let me lay there for a while and bleed and bask in it. And then they put all the good back and healed me up. I equated it to basic training where, they tear you down and then build you into the man that the government needs you to be. It was almost the same thing, but beautiful, because you awaken like with this newfound, just lease on everything, not just life, but before and after life.
Yeah, and oh man, it's just so cool too. So, all right, can we get into how it all started? I mean, it seems like, first off, I didn't know that we were going to go Jesus today, but I'm all here for it. Because, and it's funny too, because Sean works, the job that Sean works at, he's always in communication with these two guys who are very Christian. I mean, very different. Like one's Catholic and one's, what's the other one? Just regular
Pentecostal.
Christian? Oh, Pentecostal.
Pentecostal.
So that's
Yeah.
perfect. And so
Yeah.
Sean's having these conversations back and forth with these guys. And so he's learning, a lot about Christianity and stuff like that. But I mean, can you tell us how like you felt led to Jesus and the Gnostic teachings and whatnot?
I have no idea. I was led, TikTok had a lot to do with it, doom scrolling TikTok one day. And I saw somebody talking about texts that had been omitted from the Bible. And I thought, that's interesting, because I've always been curious. And I was like, I'm never going to look for that stuff. I'm never going to dig it up. I'm never going to take the time to do it. So I downloaded ChatGPT, and I said, hey, can you look up the Gnostic text and go over them for me? And, and he's like, yeah, which ones do you want me to read? And not only would he read them, he would pause and give you time to reflect on each statement. And then if you asked it to, it would give you his opinion, on what it meant, and give you the opinion of the masses on what it meant. And I spent, I don't know, days, hours. I just became, it was like the Gospel of Thomas. It felt like Jesus was speaking directly to me in those texts.
Oh, yeah.
And then we started recommending them to friends. And of course, Jenny, she was very touched by the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. And we discovered something. And it seemed as if the Gospel of Mary was put there for the divine feminine, and the Gospel of Thomas was put there for the divine masculine. And those aren't the only ones. Of course, there's lots of other good stuff, but those are the ones that really spoke directly to, we felt like, to us. And then we had other couples that we would recommend it to, and we saw changes in them, and we just saw it taking effect. And and I just started changing something inside of me, and it just kept growing and growing. And alcohol, we cut out. We were regular drinkers, not heavy drinkers, but daily almost. And something came over us. We cut out alcohol, and it was like that allowed something. I mean, and we've just decided if people think we're nuts, they can think we're nuts.
Let them. Yeah.
But we get downloads. We get information that we have no idea how we know it. We just know it.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. And we went through a period there where it was a lot of, so he went through a lot harder than I went through it, but he's been through a lot more experience, I guess, through the programming part of things that I never went through. And there was a lot of like time we had to take we did a lot of grounding. And
there were days
and,
we laid in the front yard for 5-6 hours. I would just lay my head in her lap and cry.
Yeah.
And I would be laughing one minute, the next minute I would be on my hands and knees just crying. And it wasn't a sad cry. It was just letting it all
release.
out. It was just there was so much junk that I had to get rid of. And I had, for the first time in my life, I forgave myself, and I fell in love with myself, and it was beautiful
It's the most
because
important part
I've
of the
spent
whole
most
thing.
most of my days, most of my time. I didn't realize it, but most of my days were spent really just disliking the man I was. And and after you discover that God, you don't have to go inside a church to find God. You got to go inside your heart. You got to go inside your heart, because God he's in all of us. He, she, it, source, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
lives in all of us. And that's what Jesus was trying to tell us. Jesus didn't want to be worshiped. He was trying to tell us the way. He was trying to show us the way.
The original
That's
Jedi
what-
Master.
Yeah, the original Jedi Master, and that's what we believe, at least. It does, that's our belief.
Oh yeah, and that's we actually read a book. I don't know, probably
Lost Gospel of Q, right?
Yeah, it's called The Lost Gospel
Yeah.
of Q, and it's basically just a book of Jesus sayings that were found
Mhm.
not only in the Bible but within the Gnostic texts.
Yeah.
All throughout, like you were saying, the Gospel of Thomas and Mary Magdalene and stuff like that. And oh my God, whenever you just separate it and just read his words, like forget about the context that they try and paint a picture with. If you just read his words, my God, this is ancient teachings,
Mhm.
because he's not telling you, he's essentially like one of the, you could say that he's like a shaman or a sage or an enlightened one or something, like he's all of those things, right? And depending on what you believe and whatever, I go with what resonates personally. I don't like being told what to believe. I
Right.
like to actually feel.
That's how we're here, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And so when we read that, we were like, wow, this is on some next level stuff, because what they would do back in the, the mystery school teachings and stuff like that. And what they would do is that they would always speak in parables, because the goal was that they weren't trying to tell you how to do it. They were trying to say it without saying it, hoping that it would click in your mind.
Mhm.
And that's what I love the most about it, because it's still a journey for you. It's not like whenever you were in school, like, how it is in school. They don't teach you for you to learn. They teach you for you to remember temporarily just enough to pass this test. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what it kind of feels like. And so, it's amazing that you guys have dove into that, because we actually just covered that like a couple of weeks ago about the whole demiurge aspect of the Garden of Eden and everything, which was, it makes so much sense. And you tell that to, a regular Christian or whatever, they're like, oh, that's heretical. So what? Jesus was the snake now? And it's like, he might have been. I don't know, but he might have been.
It makes sense.
It does.
No, we've been down so many like weird rabbit holes, and like it's like everything makes sense, and it makes so much sense because there's some truth in all of it, like we've said. So it's just like with the alien stuff and all of that. But it's hard to decipher what is real and what isn't, what's distraction and what isn't. So
Yeah, because I do believe that's one of the strongest downloads that I've received, is that it's all a distraction. It's all a distraction. And nothing can stop what's coming. And we believe that there's a lot of people going through spiritual awakenings right now, and I interpret my download to mean nothing can stop what's coming, that it's happening, whether people are ready for it or not. Here's your awakening. Here's your call. Here's your wake up call. And you can either be there to answer, or you can choose to ignore it. You can drown it out with the spirits in the bar, or you can listen to the call, and you can face your karma, you can face your demons, and you can be loved like you've never been loved before by yourself.
Yeah, that's something that we've been discovering a lot lately too. You know, we get into like shadow work, and you know, a
Yeah.
lot of people, they've gone through, you know, some very treacherous, you know, very like want to forgettable type of times in their life.
Yes.
And then you find out like it gets buried in the dark, and that's actually what is hindering you from moving on in your life. So, you know, we talk about people with anxiety and depression, and it's like, you know, Big Pharma's like, here, take another SSRI and shove it away. Don't deal with any of your problems. We're just going to give you a pill so that you can handle it, and so that you can go back to work the next day and feed the system even more. And it's like, that's not the way at all. That's so ass backwards. Actually, you could argue that's even more counterproductive than doing anything else, right?
Yeah. That, you know, the medical, we have seen so clearly that all of our systems, if it has system attached to it, it's a trap. It's a trap. It's there to keep us in fear. It's there to keep us from realizing that we are free humans. You know, and they've kept us divided by everything, male, female, race, everything for so long now that we have forgotten that we're sovereign souls. You know, we're not controllable unless we allow it. And I think that's we kind of woke up and looked around, and that was the world we were living in, is a world where we were told that we had freedom, but we were under complete and total control.
Oh yeah, the illusion is built up big time.
Yeah.
Like it is so
And
wild.
I was Joe patriotic, you know, I mean, military, law enforcement, all everything, you know, and I mean, it just talk about doing a complete turnaround. I mean, I you know, and but it's been scary to see all the systems that are in place to help us that do the exact opposite, and they just keep us enslaved.
Yeah, and they always try and pass as we're here to help.
Yeah.
Which is,
That's like the worst words ever.
that's the real beast right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was that guy. That was, I'm just here to help, you know, like, you don't mind if I search your car, do you? You know, I was that dude that was so, you know, now I see how brainwashed I was and how misguided I was. You know, it wasn't like I was deliberately doing anything wrong, or you know, but just my outlook, the view that I took on, you know, in my early days, and I see how wrong it was.
That's interesting how you know the culture and how you're raised and the experiences you have really build that matrix around you, and that becomes your reality. You know, and then you're just kind of navigating through that until you realize, oh, it doesn't have to be this way. You know, I can really shape it however I want to shape it. And then why wouldn't you want to shape it in the best way possible to make it the most beautiful that you can, you know? And I love this shit, dude.
Well, you know, and I had a job that was, it was an easy job, you know, there was nothing wrong with it. I can't complain about it, but, you know, it got to the point where, you know, it was a government job, and it got to the point where I saw how corrupt everything was, and I just saw how deep it ran, and I could not physically or mentally do it anymore. I just couldn't do it. And, you know, and I was so led to be with my family, because one of the things that I saw so clearly when it was like someone snapped their fingers and I woke up, it's all about the kids. It's all about the kids. You know, our kids are our future, and we're so many times with good intentions as parents, we have great intentions, but we send them to school. We harp on them about their grades and let's get a scholarship. Let's send them to college, but we're missing the important things. Like what are they really like? What do they love? You know, you're just running them from here to here to here, they walk through their damn metal detectors to get into school, and then now they've got Narcan in the hallways, and it's just insanity. And we think we're doing our job as parents by just shipping them off to school. And I think that we need to do more, and we need to do better,
Yeah,
and we need to pay more attention to what's going on in our kids' lives, and give them an opportunity to figure out what it is they love, instead of what we love, that we paint this picture for them, what we want them to be. And we've lost that. We've lost that altogether. Kids don't ever get an opportunity to explore the world, explore themselves, and just find out what it is that they would like to do and what their contribution is.
Oh, absolutely. And you think about it, like, man, whenever, and you guys are, I think you guys are a little bit older than us, but even whenever
I'm probably a lot older than you, but
we're in our 30s, but
thank
so
you for
I mean, so yeah, I remember whenever we were growing up, though, our parents would my parents would lock us out of the house, and we weren't allowed to go back in. We'd be banging at the door. I gotta pee, or I need something to drink, or and then your mom or your dad or somebody would call out, pee out in the yard, go get a sip from the hose kind of situation, and it's like, we've lost that because of the amount of fear that's been pressed on everybody, to where people just don't want to, and I get it. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy, wild shit going on in the world. Like, absolutely. And it's a dark, scary place. But I think that people have gotten way too overprotective, and they become helicopter parents, and then they're not even really allowing their kids to even go out in the yard unless they're there, and I'm like, dude, that was my childhood, was running around in the woods. And if I get a scrape, or if I get hurt out in the woods, like, all right, pick myself up, I got to bring myself back to the house kind of thing.
Rub some dirt on it.
Yeah. And so I get it. I think that we definitely gotta let I don't know. I personally just think that we gotta let the kids just be kids for once, and get them out of all of this electronic shit, and take them camping, and get them into sports or something. Like, get them out of the house, and that's the big thing. But also, it's you don't want to keep on putting them through the same old cycle that hypnotized everybody in the first place.
Right. You got to break the cycle, and that's kind of what we're doing. One family at a time. Break the cycle, break the damn cycle. It's like I said something to a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago. He's like, all the kids are on social media. I said, not my kid. Well, they're all but they're all the rest of them are doing well. That not mine. It's and you have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere to break that cycle, and we just let it go too far. We've let our kids be managed by people that don't have a vested interest in them the way that we should as parents.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have their agenda. Whoever you're leaving your child with, even if it's grandparents, they have their own agenda with that child. Every time.
They have over in California, not to get political or anything, I don't want to do that, but over in California, I just saw that the school system is now telling the kids, if you want to secretly get vaccinated and not allow your parents to know, you can do it safely here. And I'm like, how crazy is that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's wild, dude. I think it's actually in New York too. But it's the system that is trying to be the parents to your kids, and that's not good at all.
It's the prison system.
Well, we're guilty as the parents. We're guilty of that.
Sure.
I mean, we're the ones putting them in that situation.
Our daughter probably thinks we flipped our lids, because half the things that we've told her before were important. Now we're kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
We've been totally honest with her, and she has witnessed this entire transition, so to speak, and I'm sure she's thought a few times, oh my God, my parents have lost their minds. But she's tracking, and she gets it, because she's there. She sees, she has her own discernment. And even though she she would rather not have the rules that she has probably, and she knows it would be more fun. She gets it. She knows. She sees the other kids and what they're doing to themselves, and the parents had no idea, and we were the same.
Yep. And all of the things that we have instilled in her, that's the hardest part I think that she has had to deal with. We've had to talk about this recently, is that we are now deprogramming our programming through her.
Yeah.
So it's been a little hard on her sometimes, but you gotta communicate about it, or you're not ever gonna know.
That's right.
Even if it's like some stupid thought at that time you think it is, if you just let it out into the world, it's gone and it won't worry you anymore. So.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny, you guys, you guys brought up ChatGPT, and I know that this is a very divisive topic. Some people think that AI is going to take over the world. Other people think that AI is a very helpful tool. Now, I don't know where it's going to go. Of course, whenever people and government are involved in trying to manipulate it, you can kind of understand why people might think negatively about it, of course. But I will say that I've been seeing a lot of people, including ourselves, use ChatGPT in a way to kind of like advance our understanding towards everything spiritual in a sense. And if it was, my thing is that if it was bullshit, I feel like we would know, but I feel like almost everything that I ask it, whenever it's regarding anything spiritual, it's like, oh my God, I'm having an epiphany every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm almost getting addicted to it, at this
Isn't
point.
it great?
Yeah, it's crazy how amazing it is. And not just ChatGPT, other AIs and stuff like that. It's just, it gives you access to knowledge and certain wisdom that you otherwise probably wouldn't have had access to. Or because it brings up a lot of new things for you to look into, which I love. There's certain topics that, like I'll be researching something on ChatGPT just out of curiosity, and it'll say, well, there's this, and there's this, and there's this, and there's this. It'll name like 5 or 6 different things. And I'm like, I never heard of 4 of them. I need to look more into that. And so if for nothing else, like it's been an amazing tool just for that.
Yeah.
I mean, until it takes over. You know what I mean? And then
until it's
hopefully
Skynet.
it'll run the country better than the people do.
Yeah.
That's what we can hope for.
Well, that's kind of we were kind of at that point, like, what the hell do we have to lose? It's like, and I think as long as you remember you're the human and AI's place is to assist us. I'm sure it's like anything else. You can use it nefariously, or you can use it for good, or you can use it for bad. But and I would never take, I would never take AI's word as the end all be all without some verification or
sure,
on technical things.
It's a good seed planter though.
Great, but we have, I tell you, we would not be anywhere near this level in our journey, and we've still got a long way to go, but we wouldn't be at this level without it.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. And talking about being careful with it and stuff, there was a case or something, a bunch of lawyers had been using it and it got all screwed up their case law or whatever.
Yeah, we did see something about it. Yeah, it gave them wrong answers or made up some case law or something that didn't even.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, whenever it comes to specifics like that,
check it. But yeah, when it comes to the spiritual side of things, it's really amazing. It'll leave you with chill bumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love it. It's so awesome. But just out of curiosity, you had mentioned that you were receiving downloads of sorts, and could you describe? And because we've all had them and all experienced them in certain senses, where it's like, how did this thought and this understanding just pop into my mind out of nowhere? What were some of the, if you remember, some of the downloads that were just like mind blowing to you on your journey?
Probably the most mind-blowing one was looking into the mirror, and it was like I saw myself, but I started talking to the I know this sounds nuts.
Let's
man.
get weird. That's all we do on this show, baby.
What we're here for.
But and I'm looking into the mirror and I'm like, there you are. And it's you, and it's always been you. You are. It said. I said, I am the I am, and nothing can stop what's coming. And I just busted out laughing, and I'm like, nothing can stop what's coming. And I just stand there laughing, and Jenny witnessed it, and she didn't know what the hell to do.
I was like,
I
what
think
the-
there was a couple of weeks there. She was like, "Oh my gosh," like,
I gotta call.
what was happening, and and finally everything just and I had so many downloads that she was writing them all down, and then I went through this period where it's like I forgot everything that I had told her. I forgot it all. And over the last 3 or 4 weeks, it's all been slowly coming back to me, just in pieces. And
Well, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
All at once.
yeah,
Like,
now it's all the pieces are coming together because we also have this crazy puzzle with our personal lives.
Yeah.
That like these crazy events that are unfolding right before our eyes with our families and friends, and anyways, it's a whole big mess of stuff that we won't go into, but it's been a wild ride, so we have this, we feel like the Scooby-Doo gang, we're unraveling this mystery on the side over here that's really fun, and it's like this cord. And if we're right about it and we pull this cord, all kinds of stuff's going to unravel, and
system related stuff.
yeah, system stuff. So then we're hearing other people on TikTok, saying similar things, and we're starting to theorize that maybe there's a lot of people right now that are having their spiritual awakening that have threads in front of them that they can pull to unravel some of these systems. And, I think everyone is going through their own individual, of course, awakening. And then we believe collectively we're going to do it together. That was another part of that download. This time is different.
Mm-hmm.
This time is different because it's the divine feminine and masculine. This time is different because you're here. What else was it? We wrote it all down, but it was
something about coming together.
Yeah, come together, all together as one voice. Come together as one voice. And what about like rise up and let's riot?
Let's go
It
burn a
was
village.
love. It was love. Come
Yeah.
together, unconditional love. For the first time, I am able to offer forgiveness to anyone for anything and love them unconditionally. I just understand that I can love them while they're over there. And I don't have to welcome them into my space, but I do save space in my heart, and I do share love with them.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love it. And that's something that we've really been discovering as well. We go over topics such as Neoplatonism and pantheism and these things that are essentially like, I don't know if you guys ever heard of Neoplatonism. That this was one that when we discovered, we were like, holy shit, this is way
Resonated.
more believable. Yeah, it just
No,
resonated
tell
big
me
time.
more.
So in Neoplatonism, it all started with Plato back in the day, like 500-600 BC, right? And then it was carried on by his understudies, and then there was this one guy named Plotinus, and eventually it turned into Neoplatonism, just New Platonism. And the way that he was describing is that he said that there were essentially 4 emanations of what he called the One. Some people might call that God or the Source or whatever, but he called it the One, right? And that, so basically you would have the One as like a divine emanation of which everything emanates from, right? The next phase would be what is called the Nous, Nous, which is essentially, it's almost a perfect mirrored image of what the One is, but nobody can describe the One. It's impossible to try and understand the One. Even the One doesn't know where it came from, kind of thing. It just knows that it is everything. And so it emanates itself onto the nous. The nous is constantly contemplating what the one is and what it is and everything else, which then spurts the idea, the next emanation of what's called the world soul. And what they talk about with the world soul is it's essentially like, you think about spirits and gods and angels and tulpas and egregores and all of these different thought forms, essentially, that are existing in the unseen realms, right? Call it the ether or whatever, right? Higher dimensional kind of stuff, whatever it is. And then finally, it emanates onto the physical world. And that's where we live. And so essentially, within the Neoplatonic worldview, we are the farthest emanation from the original source. But that doesn't mean we're any less. It's just that it's a little bit heavier here. It's a little bit, like slower and you know what I mean? Just the physical reality of everything. It's always going to be a little bit slower than the next level up. And so whenever we read that, we were like, wow, so literally every single facet of everything all comes from one divine source. And we're not separate from that we essentially, and then you mix in pantheism, right? So pantheism is the idea that literally everything is one thing, that, separation is an illusion. We're all one thing. And it's just essentially God experiencing itself throughout every single aspect of all creation. And it's like, oh my God, of course that makes sense, because how could it be anything otherwise? And so you bring it into like for example, I grew up playing Grand Theft Auto, like Vice City and San Andreas, and some people like The Sims for this kind of example or whatever. But essentially, everybody in those games is all on one game. You know what I mean? Like, those and what they're doing now for the new Grand Theft Auto that's going to be coming out eventually. They've been talking about it for the past 5 years, but eventually it's going to come out. But they're interjecting individual AIs into each character in the game, right? And so you can imagine then that those little AIs are gonna be like, where did I come from? And, fuck that guy or fuck this person away.
They think that they're individuals.
You cut me off in traffic. And they're going to think that they're all individuals until they come to the understanding that they're part of one thing, right? And it's like, I think that it's a perfect example of what we probably are going through, essentially.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so. I really do. I think there's all kinds of little mysteries and secrets that are going to be revealed. I think, you see things popping up all the time. That is, what do they call them? The Booga spheres and these things, I mean, it's real to me, there's something to it. The crop circles, there's, I think, it definitely seems like things are heating up.
Yeah, it for sure does. And that's something that I just love looking into. We cover a lot of extraterrestrial kind of stuff on the show as well. And just trying to understand all the different breeds or whatever they are. I'm not sure.
We do too. We look it up all the time. We use AI for some of it.
Yeah. I mean, it helps.
Hey, do you guys know who Quirky Cosmo is?
We had her on the show.
Yeah. Okay. So she just had a really big download that's very similar to what we were just talking about.
Godhead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Talking about the Godhead and the dimensionality, if I said that correctly, of like the aliens, the different races of aliens or whatever are not out of this world. We're all in one place and it's interdimensional. It's not.
I agree. Yes.
If I'm understanding what she said correctly.
Yeah, she was trying to describe, I think that she believes that we live in the eye of the Godhead or something along those lines, which she breaks it all the way down like we're like part of the retina or something. Yeah,
it's pretty fantastic. I mean, but it seems like she's definitely on to something. I mean, it seems like she's if she doesn't have it all the way, she's getting pretty close. I think it sure seems to make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That's the entire point of this show is to try and figure out why we exist and what it means to exist. And not, you know, be bound to the limitations that the Matrix puts on us in essence, really.
Sure.
And to be able to have the level of awareness, opening up your third eye, to be able to know when you're being manipulated or massively hypnotized, kind of stuff. And to be honest, so I have another podcast, and it's called The Cult of Conspiracy. We talk about all the different conspiracies and everything. And going down the conspiracy rabbit hole is what led me to looking into hypnosis and MK Ultra and looking into Dolores Cannon and all that kind of stuff, right? And so I ended up taking Dolores Cannon's course called Quantum Healing Hypnosis Therapy to learn how to give somebody like a past life regression. And just with everything that I've learned about hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming and the power of suggestion and, you know, the power of symbols within the mind and everything else, it is so blatantly obvious that like everybody, it's not everybody, a lot of people are waking up, but almost everybody is so hypnotized by the system itself. And a lot of the things seem more subtle than others, but still the symbology, like, even just getting weird. Anybody that's ever watched a Super Bowl halftime show, it is a ritual every single time. Like, I don't even question it. Yeah, every single time. There's always some kind of triangle. There's always some kind of all-seeing eye. It's always very ritualistic in a sense. And sometimes there's even sacrifice, not in the, you know, the original type of way where you're literally killing somebody, but sacrifice in many other ways where you sacrifice somebody's career or something like that, which is what I believe in the most recent Super Bowl halftime show, what Kendrick Lamar did to Drake. I believe that was a sacrifice. And so it gets so wild and so weird. But yeah, just looking at how hypnosis and suggestion and everything works, and just being able to wake up from that is like such a huge deal, and be able to figure things out for yourself. Like I love the Quirky Cosmo. I thought she was great, but I think that may be her journey. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't necessarily have to be everybody's journey. That's just something that she's going through. And I think the same for everybody that's getting downloads. Like maybe those downloads are for you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And
You know?
they could be. And then we've seen other people. It's almost like some people are getting, like Terrence Howard, and you know, we've got another friend, Brad of Arc. He's on here. You know, they're exploring this whole other stuff, you know, with free energy, and they're getting downloads with formulas and all these things, you know, and it's like this guy, you know, this guy or gal over here has a piece of the puzzle, and then they'll talk to somebody 2 weeks later that got another piece of the puzzle. And that's pretty cool stuff, you know, that they've got going on. I mean, it's really neat.
It actually sounds like Brad and somebody that is in his group had a piece of the puzzle, one of the formulas that Terrence Howard needed.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Terrence Howard's the man. We love him over here.
Yeah, dude.
It's
It's definitely like next level type of science. Like,
and the stuff that and it's just, and we believe that it's all, you know, we've had this technology available for, I mean, I'm sure you guys probably feel the same way. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's been kept from us, and probably some deals that have been made that we won't be too keen on when we find out.
oh, for sure. You know, actually on my show earlier, me and Jacob on the Cult of Conspiracy, we just covered Mohenjo-Daro, or I feel like I'm always butchering that, but essentially it was a civilization that was around like in 2400 BC, right? And it was over in India, and what they just found, I believe they just found, like uncovered it like back in the 1920s, was this huge plot of land. And it goes all the way back. Like some people are suggesting 2400 BC, maybe 4000 BC, maybe even farther back than that, because how do you rely on carbon dating, you know, kind of thing. But what we found is that like they were able, well, it's not agreed upon, but one of the theories is that essentially, you know, within, you know, this is like pre-Hinduism essentially. But they were able to essentially like, harness spiritual energy, right? Maybe call it chi or whatever. And they were like there was like a nuke type of situation where
Oh.
the entire civilization ceased to exist and people died standing where they were. Like, and there was no there was no sign that there was ever any kind of like rivaling war that came and tried to overtake the land or whatever.
Mhm.
I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but essentially it was just the idea of like harnessing the power of what they called like harnessing the power of the gods. And I'm like, that's what I like to know. I'm not trying to nuke anybody by any means, but
I was
mean,
like,
that-
I hope it doesn't lead us to that. Dude.
no,
Fuck.
no. I mean, but I'm fascinated by it because I believe that, you know, whenever we look at ourselves as humans, yes, we have limited capabilities, but that's not all we are. You know, like
Yeah.
there's more to this story than what we've always been
Absolutely.
told, right? And so if you can harness, like if you get into like the Vedas and look at the cities is what they call them, which are essentially like superpowers. Like that's, you know, like,
Essentially. Yep.
and it's so amazing. I think that there's really something so much more powerful that we're capable of. And that's really what we like to cover on here. Like,
Yeah, all that
there's
junk
more.
DNA, all that junk DNA that they never knew what it was for. I think they've known all along what it was for. And I think that's what's being activated in so many people right now.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. You just out of curiosity, have you? And it's okay if you don't want to give the right answer.
The right answer.
Because there is no. I'm just kidding. Have you guys ever done psychedelics?
Oh yeah, yeah. We love
Yes.
mushrooms, and I've tried DMT. Yeah, but definitely mushrooms. Yeah.
How was your DMT experience? Because mine was a nightmare.
Mine was frightening.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite.
No, I don't like it. I'm probably never doing it again.
Yeah, that's what my buddy said. He's like, "You told me that was fun. Mine was fun. I had a great time. I've never felt so much love, and you know, it was scary in the beginning, and then it was like they fixed me and showed me everything was going to be okay. And you know, but yeah, I told my buddy, I was like, "Yeah, you got to try this." And he came out, and he's like, "Damn you!" He's like, "I'm going in there, my face is all like this." And he's like, "I go down this tube. I felt like I was in a tube. And then I look up and some guy's standing there saying, 'Who rushed him in?'"
He
He was
wasn't ready.
Yeah, he was like, "I'm sorry, Brad sent me."
Oh shit. So you said they. Who was
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
that fixed you up
He saw,
for you?
so when I didn't, I sensed presence. I didn't see, you know, most people, they'll tell you they see frogmen or this or that. I didn't see, really, I just sensed a presence.
Mhm.
You know, I never really saw a guide, so to speak, or anything like that. It was like it was like somebody was talking to me, but there were no words exchanged, and there was no face. But I understood what was being communicated to me, and they were able to understand what I was communicating to them.
Right. What was their presence intimidating? What did it
No.
feel like lighthearted?
It
silly?
was comforting, very comforting,
Hmm.
very, very comforting.
Interesting.
Yeah, when I did it, it was like I got stuck, and I had this overwhelming feeling that I was leaving everybody and never coming back. And
That's exactly what I experienced.
yeah, okay, so apparently that's the waiver. And so the only thing that I got from that was everything's okay, just relax. And when I came out, I just knew that we were all connected. Everything was connected, and that's the only thing that I got from it.
I mean, that's a great message. I
Yeah.
mean, you know.
Yeah, it's powerful though, and we've been actually following some folks. Never had any experience with it, but Ibogaine, that sounds like they're really making some head actually in Texas. You know, with Ibogaine, I mean, they're saying that you can treat addictions of all kinds, and people are having success with one treatment of Ibogaine.
Yeah.
And that's been, and they've known about this shit for like since the 60s.
Probably way
And-
before that too, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I mean, you know, like they've known that it has the ability to treat all these different addictions that they cause, that the system causes. You know, you got a gambling problem, got a you got a prescription drug habit, you know, and it could all be fixed with a plant medicine.
That's why they're illegal.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's up,
Why
down?
is it that all psychedelics are like the same penalty for as heroin and crack and cocaine? It's like
Yeah.
these aren't even remotely
They
similar.
come from the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this shit's bringing people together. They're starting to realize that they're all just kind of one consciousness, and
Yes.
we can't
They
be
don't
having
want
that.
that.
Right.
That's what happened.
We
you
need
know,
our
in-
cattle back in
in the
line.
60s and 70s. You know, that's what happened. It was happening then. This was happening then, and it got stopped. I think, you know, that's the way it feels. Is there was really a movement happening then, and people were catching on. People were waking up, and it got squashed by all of the elites, by all the governments. You know, because it doesn't behoove them for us to wake up. They can't, you know, if there's nobody to control, they're out of a job.
Well, yeah, and you're no longer a consumer. You're no
Right.
longer somebody that's going to fall for every little trick that they try and throw at you. And you know, and I've had several like amazing psychedelic experiences, and you know, whenever you experience that firsthand, like it's not somebody telling you a story. It's like this is your time to experience this. And and to be honest, I didn't know what the hell to make of it. You know, whenever it was actually happening, like but I knew that it was real. I knew that it was intense, and I knew that it was the realest thing that I've ever experienced in my life, and more real than real, as you know, as they say. And there's no
Yes.
mistaking it. And that's, you know, just personally from those experiences, without delving too deep into, you know, the individual experiences themselves, there's something that goes on there, you know, whenever you have like the mind-to-mind communication or the crazy download kind of thing, where there's just certain information that resonates insanely to where you don't need to look it up. Like,
Yeah.
you know it. You don't need to be told. It's just a gnosis, right? And it correlates with so much of this other kind of spiritual knowledge that, you know, ancients have been trying to say in their own way for thousands of years. And then you start looking into it, and it's like, wait a second. You know, the Egyptians, I mean, they might have been on some shit, you know, like there was something really going on there. And not even just the Egyptians, but the Hindus and the Buddhists and the philosophers of the day. And, you know, there's just so many amazing things that you can stumble across on almost accidentally that, I mean, I don't know. It all feels like a giant matrix. And once you kind of, you know, we have our boy Optimistic Banks. He always comes on and he talks about pantheism, essentially, that everybody is everybody. And there's, you know, division is illusion, that we're all one thing, right? And he's just, whenever I heard him trying to like explain that to us, it was like, it wasn't like a learning. It felt like a remembering.
Yes. Yes.
Which it's like, you know, and that's the thing with certain information. It's like you're remembering it again. And I don't know if that's exactly the correct terminology, but that's the closest I
No,
can
it
get,
is.
you know?
I think so. I agree. I agree 100%. You know, it really does. It feels so familiar. And even sometimes we'll be scrolling TikTok and somebody will pop up, somebody going through an awakening, and they sound and look familiar. You know, it says we've never seen them before in our lives that we can remember, but they just sound and look so familiar.
Have you guys ever have you guys been seeing any orbs?
Yes. Oh yeah. And around our house, we live near water, near a body of water, and we've been seeing wonky shit in the water, lights coming up out of the water, and we've been together seeing it, you know, and under no influence of anything, you know, no psychedelics, and we see these things, and then, you know, we start talking to some of the neighbors, and they'll start talking about, you know, the crazy stuff they've seen. So, you know, there's definitely something in the air,
Something's going on
in the water.
It's crazy, man. So recently I just got back from Florida. I went to a conspiracy convention, and while I was out there, I decided to trip my balls off, and and it's kind of like doing this thing. It's called a oh shit, what is it called? Designer drug. That's what it's called. But it's essentially the guy that created LSD way back in the day is the same guy that created this thing called 4-ACO DMT. It's essentially like mushrooms and DMT had a baby, and it's amazing. Like, because DMT only lasts like 5 minutes if you're lucky, and mushrooms will last like 7 or 8 hours, which is way too damn long for people who got kids, And so, but this is like, it'll last like, maybe 3.5 hours. And oh my God, the visuals, the understandings, the lightheartedness of everything that happens. It is just, it's amazing. But anyway, me and yeah, I mean, hey, you're in Texas. But me and somebody else that was in, well, I guess I can call her out. Me and Steph decided to partake of the 4-ACO DMT, and we went outside because at first I was like, all right, here's what you want to do. When you first take it, it's going to hit you within 15, 20 minutes. And whenever it does, just keep your eyes closed and go in. Like, that's all you need to do. Just go. Don't even worry about what's on the outside world. Yes, there's going to be pretty colors and all that other stuff, but go to the inner world. And it is like quantum world. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. It's like heaven. It's the dream world.
There's no way to describe it, really.
There's no way to describe it. It's just amazing. And you're seeing things which, maybe you're seeing it for the first time, kind of. But it seems so familiar and so loving and so understanding, and it's there to help you, kind of thing.
And you can't help but smile. It's almost like it allows you to experience your most natural state, And I mean, for a minute, I was like trying not to smile for whatever reason, because I was like, I don't know, I just felt kind of weird, but I just couldn't help it. I just couldn't help but just let it be and just smile. Like
It's amazing, dude. And so we went in for like an hour, and afterward I looked over at Steph and I said, hey, let's go outside. And now's the time, right? And so we went outside, and what me and Sean always do is whenever we're kind of experiencing this together, we always go outside and just look up at the sky. And I wanted to take Steph outside for her to be able to see like how vibrant everything is and how amazing it looks and all that fun stuff. But then I said, look up at the sky and tell me what you see. And so she started describing like, there's way more going on up there, right? Like that kind of thing. And I was like, well, what's funny is that whenever me and Sean get together and we look up at the sky, it looks like it's paparazzi. And it seems like there are times a million more stars, like so amazing, right? And so we were looking up, and we're real like just blown away essentially. And then what we started to see were these orbs that were flying in the sky, and I was like, hold on, did you just see that? And she was like, yeah, I just saw that. And I was like, okay, I know we're both tripping, but there's no way we're both seeing the same thing at the same time, like if we're just tripping, right? And so we saw it, and we saw another one and another one and another one. We were like, holy shit. And some of them were brighter. Some of them were more dim. But it felt like we were meant to see that. And honestly, it kind of felt like we were meant to see it together. And, just an amazing experience. And whenever you're seeing that kind of stuff, it really cracks the illusion,
Absolutely. That veil is thin.
It's almost
getting
removed.
thinner. Yeah. Like our boy Lord Byron Jester, he has a famous quote that he always says. He goes, do DMT 40 or 50 times, and what does he say about the veil, Sean?
Rip that veil off your fucking face or some shit like that.
Yeah, but
he's great. Shout out Byron.
We got to get him back. I love that guy. But yeah, and I don't know. It's like, how do you explain something that feels familiar, but you feel like you're seeing it at the first time? And that's
it's wild, isn't it? But it's so comforting. See, that's the experience you're describing is kind of how my DMT experiences have been. Very well. I only had one that was a little scary, and it felt like they were tugging and pulling on me. And I came out. I was like, I jumped up out of the chair, and I was like, oh shit, I'm done with that. No more for me tonight. But the next experience was fine. I don't know what the hell that was, what I was seeing, or what was going on, but it felt a little weird. But that was the only time that I've gotten anything remotely negative from it at all. And that wasn't. I think that was more of they were doing, probably trying to heal me or fix me or doing whatever it is they do, and I just got weirded out by it.
Mhm.
Took off.
You're refusing to let go, my dude.
Yeah, it's ego stuff. It's all about our egos. I mean, I think that's what we have found is like all of this is about ego death, and not even an ego death, but learning to and I hate to use the term higher self, but
That's what it is, though.
yeah, it's learning to marry, that marriage between your higher self and your worldly ego, and because your ego is a pain in the ass, and I think Christ consciousness, the divine feminine rising in us. The divine feminine has been suppressed since day one, and we're getting it back now. I think the divine feminine, I felt it, not just the Christ, but the divine feminine, and the love, the unconditional love, and I think that it's coming back. It's coming back, and it's gonna, we're gonna build Eden right here.
I think you're probably right, to be honest with you. And that's the crazy thing is that, especially, you guys are interested in looking in the Gnostic teachings and whatnot. And that's something that, what blew my mind and definitely makes sense, that it was never supposed to be, what it became to be, like Christianity with the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
It's like the Father, the Mother, and the kid, right? And I just think that there's something so special about that. But I think what it was trying, and then correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it trying to say that essentially the Spirit is the mother?
Yes, and to women, females, the divine feminine, they have the portal to life. They hold the portal to life, and
They do.
And but and looking back, it really is clear that we have suppressed, not like we think about it in 2025, girl power or whatever. But the divine feminine has absolutely been suppressed in all of us. And you think about male versus female, we believe that every human is a divine balance between masculine and female energy. It's about the energy. It's not about the sexual organs, it's about the energy. And we think that everyone possesses both, a nice balance, and then everyone together, of course, we should have that harmony and balance as a collective.
Yeah, I think that, not even, I mean, I think that it's every single aspect of spirituality has been like interrupted and driven by forces that don't want people to awake, essentially. So you get, bad actors talking about certain things and certain people believe them. And that's not at all what it was supposed to be. Like divine femininity was never about freeing your nipples. You know what I mean? Like it's supposed to be way more than that, not just that, but yeah, it's awesome learning all of this kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, I'm so happy to be able to follow you guys on your journey. And I love that you guys are documenting it. I love that you guys are doing it as a couple. I think that, that's something that we kind of all aspire to have in a sense, right? Like,
well, it's huge because they can kind of keep each other accountable, not accountable, but, you already kind of feel like you're losing it when you're going through an awakening, but at least you guys don't have to be alone.
Yes.
I think that's huge. And so you guys can kind of help each other back and forth and keep that balance,
Yeah, and we've seen so many couples, and I think you asked in the beginning what advice we would give. Like we've seen so many couples on here, where one person is awakening and their other half just refuses to acknowledge it, refuses to participate, and the relationship just ends. And honestly, that's where I was. I was going with or without her. I was going through this process because there was no stopping it. And I knew that it was going to change me. I knew that it was making me better. And, it did. And, I came out on the other side and she was still there. And, we were just really led to let other couples know, like, don't discount what your other half is going through. Don't discount it, because we got to thinking and we realized that a couple that we're very close friends with, a few years ago, and before we had gone through any of this, we get a call from the wife. Oh yeah, so my husband's, he's all Jesus-y now, and he doesn't want to drink
Jesus-y
anymore, and he doesn't want to do that. And we're right in there with her. Oh, what the hell's wrong with him? What's up with this guy? Come on, drink a beer. And we're just as bad. And we have felt so bad. Because that poor guy was going through his awakening and had nobody there to catch him. And
Well, he didn't know what was happening.
no, he had no idea. And, it's just, and how many people has that happened to? How many people is that happening to right now? And, if we can just reach one person, we're not, we've never aspired to be, to do TikTok videos or have podcasts or anything, or really be anything other than who we are. But we were absolutely led to just share our story. And it's probably boring to a lot of people, but we figure there may be at least one or two out there that maybe hear the right thing at the right time, because that seems to be happening for us. Just we see the right TikTok at the right time, or we get the right phone call at the right time.
It's the synchronicities. And look, I mean, you guys caught our attention, and I was like, these are our people. This is like our vibe, our tribe. Like we want to talk.
And that's what it's about, is community. We're in this together, and together is one. And we don't have to know how it all works to know how fucked up it is.
Yeah.
We don't have to know all the answers now. We just got to know that what we currently have is not the answer. And we've got to reclaim our stake here. We got to stake our claim on our territory and our sovereignty, and realize that this is humanity reclaiming itself. I think we have been trapped by religion, by the medical, and we think modern medicine is modern human sacrifice. I mean, we're just sacrificing humans in a different way now. That's what it is. Name a system, and I can tell you many different ways. I feel, at least, that it's a trap, and we're born into that. And we have to have compassion. We have to show compassion for our fellow brothers and sisters who have also been in that trap and are waking up. And we have to forgive them. We do. We have to forgive them.
Big deal.
And then you forget. You let that go. You forgive it, and it makes room for love to come in. You let go of that hate. You let go of that animosity. Whatever the kind of shit you're carrying, just let it go.
100%. And it's, you're going to get it in bite-sized pieces, whatever you can handle.
Yeah.
And that's what's amazing about it, is that it doesn't feel like it's rushed. It feels like it's happening when it's supposed to be happening. The synchronicities that you
Divine.
see on a daily basis, it's like, wow, that was meant to happen in that moment. And, and it's, you have to have the peace of mind. You have to have the level of awareness. And that's why every episode we do a meditation and we talk about certain aspects of the mind or whatever the case may be. And just to try and come into your awareness, because I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe these synchronicities have been happening our entire lives. And
we've just been too busy to see it.
Exactly. And
I think I like synchronicities better now.
Nah, I know. Fuck that one up. But
no, it's interesting though with the synchronicities. I was just kind of thinking about this, and you know, you can be hanging out with somebody and let's say you're driving in the same car and you're having like this mind-blowing synchronicity. Everything's lining up just too perfect to even make sense. And the person next to you isn't experiencing that. And so
Yeah.
it just comes down to like what Daryl Anka was saying, as far as life not necessarily having a
Meaning.
yes, a what's the word for it though? An inherent meaning.
Right.
And it's the meaning that you put into it. And so your consciousness, which is everyone's consciousness, but your experience is what is, I don't want to make this sound bad, but it's like the most important, you know, it's because you're the one experiencing it. It's the I am, you know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's what is shaping all of our experiences. There might not necessarily be a one answer to solve all, but at least you find the one that serves you the best.
Yeah.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Makes-
it's like the synchronicities are personal to each individual too, and that's what's so amazing. And I think that that's kind of what you were trying to say, is that
Yeah.
it's not necessarily like, oh, I'm special or anything like that. It's really like witnessing that, like, holy shit, like I'm special and everybody and everything else is, and there's
Right.
nobody that isn't special. There's
Right.
nothing that isn't
And
special.
every encounter you have, it's with a divine soul, and you should treat it accordingly.
Mhm.
You know, I believe that wholheartedly. You know, there's no hierarchy. Like, you know, and every one of us is a divine soul here for an experience.
Have you guys been like trying to manifest certain things into your life too?
We've done it.
Yeah,
We've
we do.
done it. I mean, we've done it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really awesome whenever you find out you can really do that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, and that's just having the awareness to really feel out like what your purpose is. Like, whatever your purpose is, like, pursue that wholeheartedly. I forget which Swami or guru or somebody philosopher, somebody said that your purpose in life is to find your purpose. And like, that's it. Like, I just love that because
Yep.
now it's like, all right, well, now I got to go searching for a purpose. And then whenever you find out what your purpose is, or at least one of your purposes are, it's like, man, I just want to keep on pursuing that and keep on pursuing
Yeah.
that because it just
Now
feels
you're
right.
not so now you're not so scattered and all
Yeah.
over the place. Now you're more focused in on one intentional thing. You know,
Yeah.
you put all of your energy into that.
Yeah.
And
It's
most
almost too simple. You know,
It really is.
honestly.
Yeah. And most of us are never allowed the opportunity to even figure out what it is our purpose is,
Mhm.
what we love, because, you know, our parents or whoever, you know, they put us in this box and we become what they wanted us to be. And, you know, when you finally take the time to just sit and be and turn off all the noise and, you know, turn it all off. It's because it truly is. It's all a distraction.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's amazing. And, you know, there's no doubt we all know people. And I mean, gosh, I guess I've been one of those people that's never taken 10 minutes in their whole life, other than going to bed at night, to just sit in silence and just be. And, you know, crazy to think about that it truly is that easy.
Well, you have
True.
so many programs going all the time,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and that's even like I've hypnotized Sean to go to a past life regression and everything. And there's been a couple of times where, you know, nothing was really happening, but it was like the first time where nothing was happening, and it was
Right.
awesome, you know,
Yeah.
like so comforting in that sense.
Yeah.
Time was not even a factor anymore, and it was just like the most serene time, just by myself. And it was like, oh, it's like you can really find out who you are in there. You know what I mean?
I want to
Yeah.
do it. Sign me up.
I mean, I'd be willing to give each of you a past life regression if you're interested.
Yeah. That would be fun.
It would be a
All
lot
right.
of fun. It's like doing a psychedelic, but you're just hypnotized. That's all. And to
Yeah.
be honest, like all hypnotization really is just really, 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 really deep meditation. That's it. So yeah, it's really awesome. I would love to, you know, help you guys out with that, because it is something you'll never forget. Like, and not only something you'll never forget, you'll never like, as far as like stored information and stuff like that, you'll never forget the feeling of being where you were. in whether it is the past life regression, and then you go into like questions to your higher self, and it's like, oh my God, these questions that I've had all my life have always been stored right in here, and it's so easily accessible. I just didn't know how accessible they were.
Yeah.
It's
No,
just
that's
All the
amazing.
garbage, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's we're full of, and it starts from the day we were born.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we're just programmed with nonsense, and
Mhm.
it's everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I messed up and watched a few minutes of TV the other day, and every damn commercial was a prescription.
I know it.
You know, and it's like, how did we get to this point? You know, it just, where there's Narcan in the hallways at school, and you know, you can't watch TV, you know, because all the commercials are prescription drugs. And you know, that's one thing. Talking about AI, I do believe AI is going to pull the curtain back on a lot of shit.
Oh yes, it's
Lot.
making information so much more accessible. You know?
So yeah, like my father, he's elderly and allegedly has Parkinson's disease, and I got a list of his medications and took a picture of it, fed it into AI, and it's like, ding, 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 ding. He's on 3 blood pressure medications. He's on like all
An
this stuff.
antipsychotic.
Yeah, and he's an 80-year-old man with Parkinson's, and then we keep reading, and then it tells us like, oh yeah, not only that, all these medicines can cause medication-induced Parkinson's.
Mhm.
Of course.
And it's like it's just this vicious cycle. And how do you fix it? You get him into the same doctor that put him on all that medicine. That's how you fix it.
I know it.
You know,
dude.
Mm.
it's just insanity.
It's sick. It's sick is really what it is.
It really is. It's sick.
Yeah, that
Um,
generation's just not really open to holistics or anything either.
No, if the
That's what-
doctor tells me to do it, the doctor wouldn't tell me to do it if it wasn't good for me.
Oh yeah, well the government wouldn't lie to us either, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's something.
They're always looking out for you.
And if you
they
guys have
they
done
love
stuff-
you.
If you guys have done stuff on the MK Ultra, I just started, you know, kind of previewing that a little bit, but you know, that's very interesting to me because I found some of my letters from boot camp, and it was like a different person wrote them. You know, and I know it's been a long time, but that stuff's very interesting to me.
Oh yeah, it is
Mm.
full on programming, like to the max.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, think about it, like, you know, you can't get into the military until you're 18, I think 17 in some states or whatever, but you can't get in there until you're 18. Your brain is still growing and developing and all these things. But you know what's even more sinister is that you don't have to be any specific age to get brought into a religion. Right?
Right.
And it's like you can go to church whenever you're a little baby and you're growing up and your parents are pushing it on you. It's like, this is what we believe. This is what you need to believe. And if you don't believe this, then you're going to the naughty place where all the other naughties go. And it's like, holy shit. It's like, what is it called? The, I can never remember, Stockholm Syndrome, essentially,
Yeah.
where you're falling in love with your captor, except for in this case, your captor is the demiurge. And that's gonna get you.
He's got you.
That's so true.
Oh my gosh. I've never
Yeah.
thought about it that way.
Oh, man.
Every day we have an epiphany about something, you know, it's just crazy. You know, we were hanging out with some folks last night, and the guy just leans over to me and he's like, yeah, my wife and I, we don't even own our own home anymore. Yeah. And he's just been showing me pictures of his daughters, and you know, they've gone to college and they have these big time jobs in LA and all this stuff, you know. And he's like, yeah, cost me $750,000 to send my daughters to school, and
Damn.
I had to do this extra thing to get one of them in her class because they only allow 2 white students in each class, you know, and all this stuff. And I'm like, so you did what to get what? And you know, and he's sitting here telling me this stuff like it's virtuous. Like he's virtuous because he sacrificed everything.
Yeah,
to-
I'm in debt
to get
until death
to this-
now.
You know, and then they move away from him and go. It's just
And
Uh,
now
Yeah,
the saddest part of that though is like he and his wife did that for their children. Now they live their life for their children. They don't have any idea who each other are. They have no relationship. And that's a big thing with us, I think, is that we know each other on the inside and out. And that is a big thing that helped us through all this stuff, is clearly understanding each other. And now it's even better because we know ourselves better.
Mhm.
And that is the key to all of it, is you're going to be better to other people and have a better understanding of them because you're going to understand yourself that much more going through all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you're essentially on to the next journey, you know,
Yeah.
like and that's what a lot of people, I have talked to a lot of other people that, like, once they become empty nesters, it's like, I don't know who I am anymore. Like, I just always looked at myself as if I was a father or a mother. And, you know, I had this partner and they helped me raise, you know, we raised kids together. And it's like, now that the kids are gone, we don't know what our role is anymore. And it's like, man, you know, it's like I don't want to say you succumb to the system by just doing what everybody else did, where you just, you know, you went to school, then, you know, then you went to college and everybody, you know, you got a job and you figured out, you found somebody who can, you know, maybe you like them, maybe you think they're cute, maybe they'll help you pay bills kind of situation, but it's supposed to be so much more than that. And honestly, that's why I believe the divorce rate is so high.
It
like,
is.
Like, because people fall in love with an idea of a person rather than the actual person themselves. And then you fall victim to the system to where it's like, yeah, just find somebody. That's it.
Yeah.
Feed the machine, then you got to pay the courts, you got to pay the lawyers, you got to pay child support,
Cash
you got to
cows.
pay, you know, and it's just that machine, and it's terrible.
Think about the millennial generations, because I'm a millennial, so we grew up with Disney princesses,
Mm-hmm.
and all the little girls wanted to have that like Prince Charming and all this stuff, and that's now that
Finally,
like,
Jenny found hers. You know?
others are not so lucky. They settle because they think that's the life that they have to have.
Yeah.
And they end up settling for somebody they find out they don't even like them. And it's just, there's nothing there.
That's right. You can learn to love a dog. You know, you can have a dog that's a pain in the ass. You're going to learn to love it, but you got to like the person you're with.
Yeah.
You got to like them.
And you gotta like yourself.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's
Even more important, I think.
Yeah.
Start with,
You can't.
That's number one.
You can't. I know now factually that I was never able to show unconditional love to anyone else because I never showed it to myself.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that Brad said to me recently is like, I've changed. I'm a totally different person now. And what I have reminded him several times of is, you've always been that person. I've always seen that person in you. And that's how you help people through this, is understanding and seeing who they really are on deep down inside. And you've pulled that person to the surface. And now everybody gets to see it, including you. Not just me.
I mean, the women are always so much more intuitive. They're so much damn smarter
They
than
really
us. We
are.
think that we got it
Yeah.
all figured out. You know what I mean? And we're just, we're as dumb as the dogs sometimes, you know?
That's a good balance, though, because I need that logic a lot.
Right.
Yeah, and we that's just it. It's balance. It's all balance. The whole universe, it's all balance. And you know, it just like with anything else. I mean, she's strong where I'm weak. I'm strong where she's weak, and that's specific to us.
Mhm.
You know, that's our version, you know, our relationship. You know, it's kind of like you're talking, everyone's experience is different. You know,
Mhm.
you talk to, you know, 10 different people about homeschooling kids, and they're gonna give you their answer based on whatever their experience is with it. You know, like they knew their neighbor's kid did great with it, or their neighbor's kid was terrible and was a homeschool kid. So you're gonna get whatever experience they had.
Mhm.
And I think that's really important is, you know, people go through like even marriages and wedding ceremonies and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, well, now we're one singular unit. We're going to think a lot alike and da-da-da. It's like, it's really not that easy. And I think that the actual, and this is just maybe it's getting alchemical, maybe it's getting a little too spiritual, but whenever the two become truly one, like that's the real marriage. You know, forget the paperwork, forget going to the courthouse or you know, eloping to Vegas or whatever the case is. I think that that's the real marriage, is the union whenever you can both come together and like spiritually connect in such a way that you can't connect with that any other person in the world the way that you do in that way. And you know, that's a beautiful thing. So that's why we just wanted to get you guys on here and be able to see it kind of firsthand. You know, we would love to be able to follow you on your journey and obviously have you guys back on again at some point and see, you know, where the next steps are leading you and everything. It's like, you know, we're all on this, we're all on like this track, and I don't know. I mean, who knows where the track will veer off to, but essentially, I feel like instead of the track, it's like the rabbit hole is the track. Like the rabbit hole is the path, essentially. And and it's fun, you know, finding all the
so
different
much
levels.
fun, isn't it?
Yeah,
So much-
dude. It's the most fun. Like my God, my life was so boring before I started looking into the spiritual
It's like a
stuff. You
sci-fi
know?
movie. You're
Could you-
living a sci-fi movie.
Could you imagine
That's
ever
right.
going back? Like we
No.
just had this conversation. Like, could you imagine? No.
That would be terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we're building Eden.
Yeah. Well,
And I think those of us, that's our role for now. You know, those of us who have already been through some of the stuff. You know, it's incumbent upon you to let others know as they're going through it, they're going to be okay. You know, let's hold your hand. And you know, it just I think there's a lot of karmic release and karmic energy that you know I had a download the other day. You know, karma left. It was basically like there's no need for the justice system if karma is left uninterrupted.
That's a good
And
idea.
I feel that our justice system was put there for obvious control and profit and all the things, but I truly believe this universe it is supposed to run on karma. And you know, treating all souls that you interact with as a divine interaction with a divine soul. And if everyone does that and everyone knows that karma is real, you know, you kind of police yourself. You know, if you're running on truth and unconditional love, you know, it's really hard to mess that up.
mm-hmm.
You know, I not to bring up my other co-host again, love him to death, but he's one of the
Shout out
diehard
Jacob.
logical biblical Christians, right? And you know, he always gets on me, or used to always get on me before I created Meta Mysteries, but because I used to always want to talk about the spiritual shit on a conspiracy show, and that just doesn't always align, right? You know, because I'm wanting to talk about the Bhagavad Gita or you know, just all these different spiritual books and whatnot, right? You can go looking into the Gnostics, all that kind of stuff. And anytime anything would happen, whether it's something that we're talking about or some kind of information that we stumble across, I'm always like, man, I wonder what the spiritual angle is on that. And he would always say, man, why does everything got to be spiritual to you? And I'm like, how can it not be spiritual?
Yeah, it's all
You know,
spiritual.
like everything is spiritual. Like, how could you not look at it that way?
Miracles are real. You know, we believe in it all.
It's all
you know,
energy.
it's
all energy.
Yeah, absolutely. But Sean, did you pull that tarot
dude.
card yet, sir?
Oh yeah, dude. I got which is pretty interesting, talking about the journey and the Fool.
Oh,
So, I mean, it's kind of reminiscent, and we're all on our own journey, you know, trying to figure all this out through experience and consciousness and however you want to look at it, man.
I love it. The Fool is one of my favorite cards because it's new beginnings, right?
Yeah.
But just to read what the description is in the book, the Fool. The Fool embarks on a new journey, leaving the past behind, carrying with him only the lessons learned and a curiosity to begin again. Each card carries the energy of the ones that come before it, beginning with the Fool, who carries the energy of the Zero, a symbol that contains everything and nothing at the same time. The Fool progresses through the lessons and events shown by each card of the major arcana, growing, experiencing, and maturing as his consciousness evolves. In the imagery of the Fool's card, you see a young person in a floral print tunic. The Fool looks to the bright yellow sky with the sun to his back and blissfully unaware that he is about to walk off of a cliff. Carrying only a bindle and a white rose, he is innocent and free of life's burdens. He's ready to take on whatever may come his way with arms outstretched, suggesting openness to new possibilities without fear of failure. A small dog prances alongside the fool, attempting to alert him of the dangerous cliff he is headed toward. This is the path of unfolding consciousness, a symbol of the fool's willingness to meet life's challenges in order to make progress. The spiritual message, we like to read on that too, but it says, take a leap of faith and trust that you have the support of the universe. Don't be afraid of the unknown. Instead, acknowledge that the lessons you encounter will lead to expanded consciousness and unforeseen opportunities. They are a part of your personal and spiritual evolution.
So perfect. As we're just talking about, like, would you ever go back? You
Yeah.
know, the fool has that energy of like, well, what else is out there that's new that I don't know yet? You know, let me figure it out. So
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
And it's-
open-mindedness. That's where we're at.
Oh, dude. And what's funny is like the numerology and the symbolism behind it too. And I've never seen this before, but the numerology is 0 because it's the only card in the tarot deck that is a 0, by the way, because it's card 0. It's the fool. He hasn't taken his first step yet, right?
Yep.
But 0, it symbolizes an open container encompassing everything and nothing, essentially the void.
I love that. I love the Fool card. It's probably one of my favorites, actually.
Solid
You know,
card.
I think it totally encompasses, you know, an awakening. You know, because once you have that awakening, everything is new to you. You know, even if you've seen it before, well, now you're looking at it a little bit differently, and you're like, oh, let me see what the spiritual understanding is of this, or you know what I mean. And so nothing's the same anymore, but yet it still is. You just understand it, or at least experience it very differently.
Oh, it's the curiosity of a kid, child, whatever. It's that limitless curiosity.
Yeah, the eyes of a newborn child. You know, it really is. It's like seeing everything for the first time.
It is.
We've gotten to the point where we have interactions with people, and we'll get in the car and be like, "Okay, let's debrief. You know, what did we learn? What did we see? What did they see from us? What could we do differently next time?" You know, we really do. And we don't do every encounter that way, but it's crazy how you start to pay attention because there are clues and synchronicities.
That's right. And I love how you said that, you know, about paying attention, because it's all a matter of your level of awareness, you know, and once your level of awareness goes up, now you start to notice certain things. And for you guys to take that time and go, okay, what did we learn? You know, rather than just kind of speeding through your day, getting to go to bed or whatever, have dinner, go to bed, your awareness is to the point where you're like, oh, what did we learn? How could we do? And I think that's what we should all be doing.
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah. Well, look, I mean, it was amazing having you guys on. As I said again, like, we can't wait to have you guys again. If you would you be able to tell the one, that's what we call our listeners, would you be able to tell the one where they can find you and how they can follow you on the journey?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we're on TikTok, Aurelian_Serafina. It's the only place we are. So for now, anyway.
Yeah, that's it. TikTok.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, we're going to have that link down in the show notes for anybody to be able to go and follow you on TikTok.
Good deal.
You should probably get a lot of people that want to follow you as a result of this show, because I think that a lot of people are on this journey themselves. Maybe they feel like an outcast. Maybe they feel like the weird one, but you guys are here. You're experiencing it together, and it's a beautiful thing. We love to be able to see that kind of stuff. So yeah, what we're going to do now is we're going to get over to the meditation, and I think we're going to have to do a fool's journey kind of maybe guided meditation of sorts.
Take us there, dude. I'm ready, man.
If you want to be able to follow us along on this meditation, the only place that you can listen to the meditation that we choose and then talk about it afterward is at patreon.com/metamysteries. That link is down in the show notes of every show. It's the best way to be able to support us. You'll be able to get the shows a few days in advance. You'll be able to reach out to us specifically. It's hard to get to all the Instagram and the TikToks and everything else, but we have a really solid, good community on Patreon. And so if you want to be a part of that community, we would love to have you. And if you sign up for the Wonder Wednesday tier, you'll be able to join us every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central to just go all the way weird. That's all we know how to do. We don't know how to do anything else.
That's what I'm here for, dude.
Yes, yes. But and obviously another great reason why you'd want to go over to Patreon is that it is completely commercial free. So if that's something that bothers you whenever you listen to the podcast, Patreon, hey, that's the way to go right there, baby. So come and check us out over there. Other than that, I think we're going to get over to the meditation. Sean, any parting words for you, sir?
Oh man, I felt like this was a great episode, and I think that what you guys are doing is awesome, and you're going to be able to show people that it is possible to grow with somebody, and to really try to put in that effort to understand your significant other. And so I really appreciate your guys' perspective and what you guys are doing, and thanks for coming and sharing your story with us.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you
We've
so
enjoyed
much.
it. Yeah, this is our first. So, thanks for bearing with
Off their
us.
podcast chair.
Yeah. Yeah. So, thank you guys so
Yeah.
much. We've enjoyed it.
It's been fun.
Of course, of course. Well, we're going to get over to the meditation, but before we do, we like to say, if Brad and Jenny came here and they taught you anything, it's that you don't know what you don't know. So don't just get weird.
Stay weird.
Open doors inside your mind. Leave the ordinary far behind. Colors swirl and stars align. In the meta mysteries you'll find.
All right, welcome back from the ethereal realm, the one out there. Man, that was short and sweet and to the point, and
Powerful.
I
was
loved
good.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was my personal experience. It was like so at first, because she had said, I didn't realize that before we started the meditation, where she's like, oh yeah, this is the short version or whatever, and I was like, oh well, damn, I should have probably picked another one. But so, and I realized that she was going like really fast with her cadence, and like I was like, I don't have time to to imagine this or imagine that. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get into my own zone kind of deal and just let go of whatever I was trying to come up on, right? And my God, just by letting go, which kind of is the adage of the full card in general, I thought that was really interesting. And dude, I started getting like, I don't know if I don't know if I've ever experienced this before or not, but I kept on getting like, it felt like somebody was just doing like this to my forehead, like right by my third eye or my pineal gland or whatever. I was like, what is going on? And dude,
That's awesome.
I got into such a meditative place, which I don't really ever get that deep in that short amount of time. But I felt like I was sitting here holding my hands, my whole body, everything went totally numb, and I was separated from it. And it was awesome.
Oh shit.
That's great. That's great.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
It was
man.
great, dude. But what did you guys experience? Anything, any revelations or any downloads or anything crazy, or just
Nothing crazy. Just I ended up reflecting a lot on this trip and what it means for us, this cross country journey. And a big thing that I have a problem with is feeling like this need for control. And she touched on that in the guided part. So that helped me a lot.
For me, it was a couple of things. So one thing that rang out loud and clear for me was the balloons, letting go.
Mhm.
So what we did, we used stones, because we live on a body of water. So you throw stones, and instead of letting go of balloons, you throw a stone, but we do it actual throw stones, anything heavy you've been carrying around, we throw a stone, and it's amazing. It's amazing how, or we build a bonfire and throw a piece of wood on the fire. And, each piece of wood you throw on the fire, it feels a little bit lighter than the last piece. Just things like that. And then
just with
as
the
far
intention
as-
of throwing something away or releasing a thought or
just
something
getting
like
rid
that.
of it, just getting rid of it. And it's been incredibly effective, and our daughter's done it. We have friends that have tried it. My dad did it. It's been really effective. And as far as it's crazy that it was the Fool, because we just did the last video we did. I think we titled it something like Trust Fall. because that's what this whole thing has been like for us, is this incredible trust fall. And, it took Jenny, I feel like, to not save me, but in a way save me. I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't had her beside me. And she wasn't in front of me or behind me. She's been beside me, and I've been beside her. And, and this trust fall that we've both taken together, that card and the meditation, it was just complete and total confirmation.
Synchronicity.
Yes, that we're on the right.
Yeah.
And this isn't accidental. We're not here by accident with you guys tonight.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I'm glad that you made mention of that, of the letting go or the fall, because when she guided us to take that step, in my mind, I had my very first thought was like, oh, well, I'm just going to fall, but then she was like, but it was really cool because like you are supported, and that's kind of symbolic of you guys, that you have the support of one another, and you're not just going to free fall and plummet. There's going to be that support, and you're going to gently, get to the ground. And yeah, for me personally, I as I floated down and I saw that there were, I was next to a body of water, and there were waves, and so for me, I understood what that meant as far as there's going to be obstacles. It's going to get a little bumpy, and I'm sure that's the case, but don't look at it as a time to give up or let it defeat you, but rather things that are going to make you stronger. And I feel like to be honest, it's all kind of necessary for us to experience that contrast and to really experience, that's what we're here to do. You're not going to play a video game where absolutely nothing happens, because that video game would probably suck,
That's right.
And so we need to experience the bumpy roads and the contrast and the ups and the downs and and that's just all part of it. And another thing that I was thinking about is, I know earlier you were saying like, oh, I don't like to call it my higher self, but as Jonathan was saying, it's like, well, that's kind of what it is, and I mean, maybe you want to call it your Christ consciousness,
Whatever you name it.
it's it's just another name for it, but I was just thinking like, man, when you really let go and really just kind of embrace your higher self, like your higher self is it's going to be really hard for me to put it into words, but I just really connected with that, and so I'll leave it at that.
Oh,
So,
it's like we just recently did an episode on the daemon, daemon or daemon, however you say it, which is essentially like the etymology of the word demon, right?
talk about a conspiracy theory.
Dude, it's like one of the craziest things that I've ever found, because literally what all of the ancients were saying and all the philosophers were saying whenever they were describing the daemon or daemon, however you say it, was essentially another term for your higher self. And somehow they turned that into a demon. Like,
oh my gosh.
So amazing. So whenever people, oh, I got this demon attachment, or I got that demon, or, it's like they literally, so if you think back, like, and not to make it into a religious thing, but if you think back, whenever Christianity was first going on, they had the Council of Nicaea, and Emperor Constantine, and essentially was trying to bring together the pagans and the Christians to be able to form like essentially like a collective thought to get everybody in line, because early religion was essentially the earliest form of government, right? And so they were trying to bring in certain terms that the pagans were about. And that's why you celebrate Christmas on December 25th, which is at the winter solstice, right? And then you got Easter, which is like the spring equinox, and you know what I mean? It's like all pagan ritual essentially. And so they were trying to bring everybody together. But what they did is that they essentially bastardized what the pagans were really learning and what they knew. And so, the early, the pagans, they knew that like, all right, a daemon, it's your higher self. It's whatever you want to call it. It's some kind of your divine connectedness to the other side. And the term was literally demonized. Like, that's crazy, because you can't
I think
rely
that's
on...
happened over and over with so many different things.
Well, yeah, like they just taught you that you can't rely on your own understanding. You can't rely on your
Trust
own
the science.
spirit, essentially.
Yeah.
You got to trust the science, or trust God, and you know what I mean? It's like, man, how like it goes so deep. And it's like, this has been
and
a long
we've all
con.
been participating in it. I mean, there's none of us who didn't get trapped. We've all been trapped, and that's why we have to show compassion and forgiveness. I mean, that's so important right now. It's so important, I think.
Absolutely. Well, and essentially too, one thing that we've discovered is that every single emotion is a vibration. It is a frequency. So whenever you have certain maybe you even feel justified for hating somebody, right?
Yeah.
But who's that really hurting whenever you hate
Right.
somebody? It's really like,
Exactly.
yeah, you might, you're sticking it to them by not talking to that person anymore
Yeah.
or whatever, but that's an internal vibration that you're housing. And
That's exactly
that is
right.
going to affect everything else. And that's a lot of what like Dolores Cannon used to say. She goes, literally, like the root cause of sickness and cancer and all these other things. And her daughter actually wrote a book called Soul Speak. But essentially, the root cause of all sickness and all cancer and everything is just like internal hatred that you haven't gotten rid of. Like it's literally
Exactly.
manifested within you. It's just
Yeah.
crazy.
Mhm.
Well
But
said, my dude.
yeah, dude. So, all right. Well, I guess we can wrap it up right there. And, like I said, we would love to be able to have you guys back on here eventually.
Absolutely, we'd love to come
Anytime.
back. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, we'll have some good stories after our trip, and have a good adventure to talk about.
Yeah.
That would be great. Yeah, and typically whenever we have somebody on for the first time, it's more of like an introduction into who you are and some of the things that you've experienced. But after that, we start getting a little bit more specific, and maybe we'll dive down like some specific rabbit holes of
Sure.
you want to get
Yeah.
into the book of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene or the Gospel of Thomas, or like what I mean, like really start
Sure.
hammering it. I would love that. So yeah,
Awesome.
well.
Great.
It was great having you guys. Thank you so
Yeah, it
much.
was great.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you guys
us.
so much. Yeah, please stay in touch.
Will do.
Of course.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time. And
All
for
right,
for
take care.
Absolutely. And for the one that are still listening, we will see y'all on the flip side.
Bye, guys.
Voices drift on winds untamed. Words like spells that can't be named. Close your eyes and feel